Good afternoon, welcome back to my channel. My name is Charlotte and this is Charlotteshelves. In today's video I have a Christmas TBR for you. I want to share with you the books that I'm hoping to read throughout December and into the new year. If you hear any crunching, panting or funky little noises, that is from him. If you are new here, my name is Charlotte and I upload weekly to fortnightly bookish related lifestyle content, and if you haven't already, please do consider commenting and subscribing. The first book I would like to read this month is called A Poem for Every Day of Christmas, edited by Ali Essery. And this is the most gorgeous festive cover and anthology I've ever seen. It's so beautiful. I've started reading this already, and it not only includes Christmas and Advent themed verse, but also songs and I think one or two sort of psalms or hymns that are included in this. So it's a really nice mix and blend of verse, poetry and also song. And this would also be a really gorgeous Christmas gift for that book lover or poetry lover in your life, because that also looks spectacular. One of my favourite poems in here is called Talking Turkeys, and it's humorous and it's fun and it's one of the lighter poems within this collection, and I just really recommend this. It's gorgeous. You could also potentially treat this like a poetry advent calendar. If you went through this and read one poem per day, that would be quite a nice literary pursuit for you throughout Christmas. The next book I would really love to read is The Nutcracker by E.T.A. Hoffmann. I haven't read any Hoffmann since university. We studied the Golden Pot when I did a fantasy module in my final year, and I used to love The Tale of the Nutcracker when I was little because my parents gave me this really gorgeous pop-up book which was illustrated with the story itself, and I don't know where that went. It must have got lost over the years, but it was a story I reread every Christmas for many years. And I know that he is meant to be a master of kind of fantasy and romanticism and melding those sorts of genres, and I would love to read The Nutcracker as an adult with a different appreciation of it. I found a copy that was free online because it's out of copyright, and I sent that to my Kindle, so I'm looking forward to reading that. And I wonder how well I will remember the story considering how many times I read it as a kid. So I'm really looking forward to that nostalgia that I'm hopefully going to experience when I reread it. The third book that I'm reading this December is called Skipping Christmas by John Grisham. This is a bit of a change of pace from his other works, if you know him as a sort of legal thriller writer, sort of a writer of action, that sort of thing. This is a more domestic tale about Nora and Luther Crank, who decide that they aren't going to celebrate Christmas this year. Their only daughter has gone away to serve in the Peace Corps, and as a result they decide they might do things a little bit differently. And this is largely marked by the fact that Luther runs some of their expenses through his spreadsheet and realises the thousands and thousands of dollars that they spend on Christmas each year. So he says to his wife, why don't we save some money and actually just go away on a cruise, just go on a holiday for us. We won't do the Christmas party, the food, all these gifts, the charitable donations, all the other bits and pieces that make up quite a consumerist and capitalist Christmas. Why don't we just spend the money on a once in a lifetime holiday for us, save some money, but still go do something that is really memory making? And his wife agrees, but the neighbours and the family and friends around them act so strangely to their choice. And this novel it's playful, it's light-hearted, but it's also just about other people's reactions to how other people choose to spend Christmas. And it's very fast-paced, it's cozy, it's comforting. I've read this a couple of times over the years, and it's one that I like to return to because it also reminds you of fundamentally what is important and beloved about Christmas and what really matters. And this is a great story and I would highly recommend it, and it's not too long either, so it's one that you can pick up over Christmas and finish within the season. The next book that I want to continue reading in December and into the new year is this poetry collection called Poem for the Day with a forward, and I think it's also curated by Wendy Cope. She's a poet that I love and I've spoken about before on this channel. It is a poem for each day of the year, and I just want to carry on reading this. This is one that I'm hopefully going to keep up until October again next year, once I've cycled through the entire year's worth of poetry. This has been really nice, and also I'm not reading too deeply into the poems, I'm not annotating them, I'm not taking my time to think too deeply. I'm just enjoying reading this, and because it's hundreds of different poets, I'm also getting a really nice range and breadth of poetry as I experience this. The next book that I would love to read this month is one that I put on my TBR for December last year and I didn't get to it, and it has been on my TBR this whole year. So I would really like to make a concerted effort to actually read it. And this is called, it's a non-fiction work and it's very popular, but it's called Quiet by Susan Cain, and it's called The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking. In my previous video, I'm sure I discussed why I wanted to read this, but for a quick recap, I am someone that really strongly identifies with being an introvert, and it wasn't something I learned about myself until I was a lot older. And once I learnt what introversion was, it just unlocked and helped me understand so much more about myself and why my social batteries and energies and the way that I experience a lot of socializing type things with other people. Hello. Sorry. It just made so much more sense to me, and it's a subject matter that I think could really help empower me and understand more about myself. And this is meant to be also beautifully well written. The next book I also would love to read because I put it on my Halloween TBR. I'm trying to do a bit of a mop up in December. I don't know if you ever feel that way. We sort of commit to maybe seasonal or monthly TBRs, and then we don't get to everything we want to read. And although I've got, you know, a handful of Christmassy themed books, I do have books that I promised I would try and read throughout the year. And so December and into January is kind of being treated as a mop up, and one of those books is the Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. I won't go into much about this because I've already sort of said that on my channel, but this is meant to be cozy and spooky, but also I've heard some people kind of describe those aspects of something unsettling or something uncanny, kind of in the way that Coraline also has that sort of element with its fantasy. There's that quality of something a little unnerving, and I'm really looking forward to this. This copy is also really lovely. I think my best friend gave this to me, and I do love a little hardback edition. Next we have one of my newest acquisitions, and this was in a previous video as well, and this I purchased only in October, and this is the latest book by R.F. Kuang, which is Catabasis. And I just think, oh my god, every time I see this cover I think this is exquisite. And this is a dark academia, I think it's a touch of romantasy, but certainly fantasy elements in it, and there's academic rivalry, those sorts of things. I've heard this is quite an epic, sprawling kind of plot. There's a lot to it apparently. I do know this is over 500 plus pages, and I'm really looking forward to kind of getting immersed in one of her worlds, because the world building in Babel, or Babel, however you want to pronounce it, was incredible. That was one of the strongest qualities, and what I loved most about that book, like the magic system and the world building in that novel, was beautiful and so immersive and believable. And I really hope that some of those qualities are also carried over into this work. I won't talk too much more about it because I have previously mentioned it. It kind of matches my top today. We do love black and gold. Oh, I can't wait to read this. The next book I want to read is a bit of an experiment. If you watched my previous video, you know that I currently am trying to read books that are a little more gentle on my brain, things that aren't violent or triggering, no distressing subject matter, just for some stuff that I've got going on. And so I'm going to dip my toes into a Dean Koontz thriller. I've chosen this one because I don't find Dean Koontz's books, even when they are actiony or even when there is violence or things that might be considered triggered warnings, it's very lightly done. His books don't make me feel too deeply. I don't necessarily connect with the characters. They're mostly plot driven, and to me a lot of his novels are like the book equivalent of maybe watching Air Force One or Con Air or Olympus Has Fallen. There's a slight playful fluffiness to them. You can imagine Jared Butler playing a lot of the characters in his types of books, and that is not a disservice to his writing because his thrillers are incredible. They're just fast paced and they're an easy time, and that's kind of what I needed. And I'm hoping with this is one of his latest books, I'm hoping this will do the same. So this is called The Forest of Lost Souls. I saw someone online describe this, and it could be wrong because I haven't read it, but someone described this a bit like a female version of Taken. There is a girl who lives alone in the woods. Her relatives have all passed away. They chose to kind of live a self-sustaining sort of survivalist type lifestyle, and then I think something has happened in her past. Either her husband or someone close to her has been killed, and some people have come back to try and pick her off too. And the story picks up with her alone in this cabin in the beautiful wilderness, and she realizes someone's stalking her. And I think that's the premise for how it opens. I've only read the first 10 or so pages, and it's more of a gentle introduction to who she is. But this is the one thriller that I'm going to try and dip my toes into this December and see how it goes. So wish me luck. And if you've heard anything good about this particular Dean Koontz, do let me know. Lastly, I have 2 books on Kindle that are kind of self-helpy. As you know, I'm kind of trying to read more books that will help me feel better. And there's one book that I want to read basically because my best friend is reading it at the moment, and she has been extolling its virtues, and because she's really enjoying it and is finding it pretty cool. That is really giving me book FOMO and making me want to read it too. And this is the Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. I don't know what I will take away from it personally. I want to read it because I am also curious to see what parts of the text or the strategies that are within it, like how they help support my friend as well. Like I would love to understand more about how my friend is feeling on her own mental health journey, and if there's anything that it can do for my own mental health and support me in any way. That's just a wonderful bonus. So that is one that I would want to read. If you've read it, do let me know what you think. If you thought it was all woo-woo and baloney, that's absolutely fine, still let me know. The final book I have that I want to read is Good Vibes, Good Life, I think it's called, by Vex King. I know, again, this is one that some people think is really woo-woo. I think it's largely about manifestation. And I'm quite happy to read something that right now that is just encouraging me to find a positive mindset, to focus more on what is uplifting and worthy, and to find gratitude for what I already have. And if I want to lean into more manifestation type techniques, wonderful. If I don't, that's also fine. I don't really know much about manifestation. I think 10 plus years ago I read The Secret, like we all did, and I was a bit confused by it all. But I know that some people think this book is a bit silly, and then some people really love it. I know that this is a much more light-hearted book, but I'm hoping that it might have some aspects that are positive and uplifting, and if that's kind of in the vein of manifestation right now, I'm happy to read something more like that. So that was a quick little December TBR into the new year for what I'm hopefully reading at the end of 2025. Let me know what's on your December reading list. Do you have a mix of kind of seasonal reads, or are you just keeping on with what you normally love? Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Merry Christmas, and I hope you and yours are having a very happy seasonal reading. Can I help you? Can I help you? Do you want to be in the video? Is that a yes? You've got to be quiet because we're filming now. You've got to be quiet.